Hello there, welcome to our garden. It is 1st of April and today I am going to do a little bit more companion planting. In the greenhouse I'm going to grow two separate varieties of tomatoes. One is the Moneymaker, which, well, not Moneymaker, sorry, Gardener's Delight this year. Moneymaker was last year. The Gardener's Delight, which are lovely little cherry tomatoes. They're called Gardener's Delight because the kitchen will never see them. They will always be devoured long before they can make it all the way over from my greenhouse into the kitchen. But the other type I'm growing is a beef tomato. Now, personally, I adore beef tomatoes, and I like them simple, where you slice them, bung them in some bread with some ham and cheese and a bit of lettuce. Absolutely brilliant. Now, at the moment, they're not too big right now. They're getting there, but they're not too big. We've got a little bit of frost due for the next couple of days. Once the frost has passed, then I will be able to get them into their permanent home, which are the buckets just below, because they'll have enough root growth. At the moment, if you look underneath, there's nothing. There's no roots growing through yet, so I don't believe the root ball is big enough for me to be able to do anything with that yet. Should probably have aimed that camera up a little bit, actually. Let's just lift you up a little bit. There we go. We're at an angle. That's fine. So I'm going to companion plant. I don't want to waste too much compost. Last year I wasted an awful lot of compost by only having a plant in each pot, which is fine. Needs plenty of space to grow. With the tomatoes, they have quite deep roots. Yeah, I've said that a few times on some of these videos. Some plants have deep roots, some have shallow. It's personal preference for the plant, I suppose. But yes, so tomato goes really well with basil. I've seen a lot of things about it, and in our household we love basil. My wife adores pesto. It was the very first meal she ever cooked for me, which was really nice. Simple pesto and pasta. It's lovely jubbly. Anyway, back to the video. So today I'm just going to get the all the buckets set. I've already got a mixture of two different types of compost, a fibrous one, a very thin one, and then also some blood and bone in there as well to keep it all nice and fertile. That should get me through to the point where they start cropping, and then I'll start liquid feeding them. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to spread some basil seeds. Now, the basil I'm using is, well, I think it was on Amazon actually, but it all comes through from Premier Seeds Direct. It's really, really good little pack, 14 grams. That has done me 18 months now, and we haven't had too much issue with getting basil. Biggest issue we've had is me growing it into shallower tub at one point. It was very, very, very shallow. But I thought shallow rooted, it'll be fine. Live and learn, don't you? That's what we do. But yeah, so I'm going to bring you down to the buckets and show you where we're at the moment. So these are the buckets I'm growing my tomatoes in. There's two yay size, which is all you really need, and I ran out of those size, so there's a slightly smaller one at the end. Now all I'm literally going to be doing today is just sprinkling a little bit on around the outside, and then topping up with a little bit of Jack's Magic. Now the basil seeds themselves, they're not very big. So you can see that there's a few hundred in my hand now, so not the biggest of seeds. And all I'm going to do is just give a wee little sprinkling around the rim. I don't want them to grow too thickly, because ultimately with tomatoes airflow is a big thing. You want as much airflow as you possibly can. That's why with tomatoes you tend to prick and pull out all of the stems as they come out the sides for the leaves. You take off all the leaders, because at the end of the day I don't really want my tomatoes growing everywhere with tiny tomatoes but loads of them. I'd prefer to have fewer of them but have them nice and thick and healthy. So seeds are all sprinkled in, literally just a band like that all the way around. And then what I'm going to do is I have a packet of Miracle Grow. No, I don't want Miracle Grow. I want the Jack's Magic. So a handful of magic. And I'm literally just going to sprinkle a very, very fine layer all the way around. Just literally to give the seeds the tiniest bit of covering. They really don't need an awful lot of cover at all. Another thing I've learned over the years, Some seeds want to be planted deep, some don't. Basil is definitely don't grow deep. Now there is some moisture in these already, but not an awful lot. So I will give them a water in a wee while. And then in 2 weeks, I will sink in the middle for the tomatoes and I'll be done. Yeah. So the reason for the basil is, again, the joys of YouTube. It's fantastic. I love this resource. I do have some books about gardening and things like that, and a little bit that I've learned over the years, but a lot of my knowledge just comes from seeing what other people do, learning from their mistakes and making my own. I make cracking ones. And this may very well be one of them. I am really aware of the airflow. I don't want the basil growing too high. But worst case scenario, I'll cut it all down, make a nice little batch of pesto, and then I've got plenty of basil growing elsewhere. I have so many little pots. Oh, I nearly dropped that one. Oh, good job I didn't drop that. So many little pots of basil. It was planted 9th of July. You see, that's 3 weeks growth. In this weather, it doesn't really tend to grow very quickly. So I know once the weather gets good, it'll obviously accelerate. But these beef tomatoes, I grew, I think, 2 last year, and they really took off and grow really quickly. It may even end up wanting to grow out of the greenhouse, but I'll just take the tops off at that point and maybe let a couple of leaders go if I've got room, which I probably won't have. But yeah, another short little video today. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Have a lovely day. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.